Welcome back to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy. And today we're going to tell you about Crystal Rogers, Part 2.
Don't forget to smash that like button. Check out the description for the links of all of our podcast platforms, CashApp, and Buy Me a Coffee. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends. As always, tell your friends because you know what? They deserve to see us too. Now, we're going to do a little things a little different because I have surgery coming up and we're not going to be able to record as much.
Right.
So we're going to record and we're going to do, was it one a week?
Right.
So I know you guys expect 2 a week, but I'm sorry. I'm going in for surgery, so I'm down for a while and my daughter's going to fill in here and there. But we're going to do 1 a week for at least
a couple months,
2-3 months, something like that. So just hang in there with us.
Yeah, come back.
Yeah. So we're still going to put content out. It's just going to be just a little less for just a little bit short period of time.
Yes. Don't leave us.
Okay. So we got Crystal Rogers Part 2.
Yes. We're back on this one.
Yep.
If you haven't heard of this case, be sure to go back and check out our previous episode. We've been waiting for the trial on this and now it's done. Well, let me clarify. We've been waiting for the trial for her boyfriend, Brooks Houck, and maybe, just maybe, it might not be the last one. We'll have to see about that because they flat out called Brooks's mother, Rosemary, and his brother, Nick, unindicted co-conspirators in this trial. And that's a bold statement. Before I get ahead of myself, let me give you guys and Darren a little recap. Crystal Rogers, mother of 5, was dating Brooks, and her youngest child, Eli, was Brooks's son. We are in Bardstown, Kentucky. Brooks ran a business of rental properties, and that's how he met Crystal. So she went from being a tenant to helping him run his business. And of course, having his baby. But she went missing 10 years ago.
And this is the one where they went out to the farm?
Yes.
Okay.
That one. She went missing actually on July 3rd of 2015. So it literally just hit the 10-year anniversary of her disappearance, and he was in trial while it was happening. Her car was found 2 days later on the side of the Bluegrass Parkway on the 5th of July. The last person to see her alive was Brooks. And what stands out in my memory when I hear either of these names, the first thing that pops into my mind is that ridiculously bad acting that Brooks did in his interrogation with police.
Yeah.
When his brother, who was a cop at the time, called him and told him to leave the station.
Yeah. And I mean, it was really bad.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
Then Nick himself failed a polygraph and got fired for basically being incompetent. Now, there were no cameras allowed in the courtroom for Brooks's trial, so we had to rely on local news. And for me, it was Lawyer Lee. Now, if you don't know who Lawyer Lee is, she is a law tuber, and she went to the trial every day, I think up until the very end, and then streamed each night to let us know what was going on. She took like crazy notes. So let's get into it. There were 3 people arrested in Crystal's case. That was Brooks. He was arrested for her murder. And then there was a father-son team, Stephen and Joey Lawson, who were arrested for helping him. So Joey's on trial for conspiracy and tampering with physical evidence in the same trial that Brooks is for her murder. So they're being tried together. The Commonwealth came right out in opening statements saying that Stephen and Joey both confessed to leaving Crystal's car on the side of the Bluegrass Parkway. Stephen has already been through his deal and he's waiting on sentencing. So he was found guilty already. And so now Joey and Brooks are being tried together. And it's been said that Joey, who is now in a wheelchair due to an accident, was kind of shoved over in the corner of the courtroom, like at the defense table for the first little bit of trial.
And, maybe that was a choice.
I wondered that too, because his lawyer even reserved his opening statements until after the prosecution's case. So you didn't hear much about Joey at all in that first week. So maybe it was a strategy for him to like fade into the bushes like the Homer Simpson gif or GIF or GIF. Anyways, on the 3rd, it is known that Brooks and Crystal's relationship had seen better days. So when she ran into her cousin at the Walmart at about 4:45 p.m., and also a friend who stopped by her house during a gastrointestinal emergency, we'll leave it at that, She was very excited to tell them both that Brooks had invited her out for a romantic date night. She had even got a sitter for all 5 of the kids. Later, Brooks was asked what they did that night by the police. And he said they ate in, and then he, Crystal, and Eli went out to the family farm. He said this was Crystal's idea, to go feed the cows and walk the trails for 4 hours in the rain with a 2-year-old.
Yep. Romance in full swing.
Right? It sounds like a regular night, not like a special date night.
Yep.
He insisted it was her idea, though, which most find hard to believe because the family farm is where Rosemary lived. And remember, this is Brooks's mom, and she hated Crystal. She didn't like that she dyed her hair pink sometimes, or that she already had 4 kids when she got with Brooks. So Crystal wanting to go hang out at her place was odd to family and friends, and hell, everybody who was told that. But Brooks says that they eventually went back to his house, and he went to bed around midnight. Crystal and Eli were still up since they are night owls, and Crystal was playing games on her phone while Eli was running around and playing. Brooks woke up the next morning at about 6:15 or 6:30, and Eli was in bed with him sleeping. Crystal was nowhere to be found. He went on about his day. It was the 4th of July after all. Those hot dogs and firecrackers aren't going to explode themselves. So Crystal's oldest daughter, Kylie, couldn't get a hold of her. So she called Brooks, and he said that she was with her cousin, Sabrina. He told the cops this is where he thought she had gone to, because sometimes her and her friends had passion parties and stuff. But who the hell has a pop-up passion party at midnight?
The mood strikes.
Hey, you want to come over and look at some toys? Ugh. And just leave your 2-year-old running loose in the house, just hit the road. Get your head out of your ass. So Crystal's mom calls and reports her missing on July 5th. Later that day is when Crystal's car was found, with her purse and phone inside the car. The car did have a flat tire and there was a piece of metal in it, but her people say that she had regularly been airing that tire up for some time before she disappeared. So that wasn't something that was specific to that day. This is also the same day that Brooks was interviewed by lead investigator John Snow. Now, John Snow told him to write out a detailed timeline of events from that day. And apparently he did that from about 4 to 7 p.m. And then he started writing out stuff that he needed to do. So at 7 p.m. it changed to get addresses for this place for so-and-so.
It's like mayo,
call so-and-so.
chips, bread.
Yeah, he starts writing a grocery list. Ham.
Cheese. Yeah.
Right. Not that I got this address or I called this person. So it turns into this weird list. And it's 8 pages long. But it was full of false information anyways. So if he said he had an interaction with somebody, they would bring that person up on the stand and prove that he was lying. So for one instance, he said he saw this woman at her office that day, but the office was closed for the holiday. So he did not see that woman at the office that day. Things like that. So you can't even believe what he wrote down anyway.
Snickers.
Yeah. Dibs.
Yeah,
Darren's
dibs.
new obsession.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Things are good.
And we can't find them.
Most time I think those things are just a big waste of money.
He does.
But my buddy Rob came down and they bought some and I ate one. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Those things will get you in trouble.
Now he needs them in his life.
I do.
So Brooks writes out this report, but then as he's sitting in this interview room, he reads the report out loud to himself. And this was odd until they realized that you could see him on the footage when he came in putting something in his pocket. It was a tape recorder. So he was recording the audio the whole time. John testified that if he had known that Brooks was secretly recording the conversation, he would have just told him to put the recorder on the table. That way he had a good, nice, crisp sound. Because it's not illegal. He said, I'm recording him. He can record me. We can record each other. It's not a big deal. Brooks would later say that he did it because he didn't trust the police. Now remember, his brother's a cop at this time. So either that's way out in left field, or maybe he personally knows what some cops are capable of.
I mean, he wasn't the only one, to record stuff though, right?
Right. So we talked about that in the previous episode, that when the IRS was out at the family farm serving search warrants, they found recorders in the pockets of clothes hanging in the closet.
That was during the court.
The grand jury stuff.
Yeah, the grand jury stuff, because they wasn't supposed to.
Right. They were recording their grand jury proceedings.
For each one of their deals, that way their story was straight.
Right. And that's a big no-no.
Oh,
you cannot record a grand jury.
Yeah, and they got what was it? It was just like a slap on the hand for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
It was. Now, he didn't mention in his little report that day that he was out at the family farm all day. But his phone puts him there from 9:30 to 4. So he starts his report at 4 when he leaves the farm. So they thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah, but they had cameras where he was following his brother out there too.
Well, this was after he did his interview. So right now I'm talking about what he put in his little 8-page report.
Yeah.
So they're trying to follow up and make sure he's telling the truth. Now his phone data showed that from 4 to 4:43 he runs errands. Then at 5:36 p.m., his phone is at his house. But they find out he is not. His truck is seen driving down the road. So we know he left his phone at home to go do something. And then he had that date night. He also put in his timeline that he got home around 12:15 and went to bed around 12:30. He told Jon Snow that he used a bulldozer at the farm on the 3rd because water was accumulating in front of the barn door, which I think it was actually a skid steer that they were talking about. He also said that Rosemary didn't like his trash pile where he would put trash from his construction jobs to like save money, not take them to the dump because it costs money to dump stuff. But he says, oh yeah, and I burned a pile of that too.
So he dug in the ground, buried the stuff, and on the day his girlfriend disappeared.
Yeah, he was digging and he was burning.
Mm-hmm.
And then poop, Crystal's gone.
Yep.
Nothing to see here. It's all in the up and up.
Yep.
Now the burn pile and farm equipment were all tested in the investigation and nothing was found. So you do with that what you will. Another thing that Jon Snow asked him about was a phone call he got at 12:07 a.m. from Stephen Lawson. In the police interview video, you can hear Brooks on the phone with Stephen. So he's got his phone on the table. He's got Stephen on speakerphone. And he's like, hey, do you remember why you called me last night? Because Brooks just couldn't remember. And Stephen says, oh yeah, I do. It was about a rental property for my stepdaughter. But Crystal handles all that stuff. So Brooks had told him that he needed to call back in the morning. So there's a couple of issues here. Why not just hand the phone to Crystal? Because at 12:07, you would have been in the truck driving home from the farm. So she's right there. But Brooks said she didn't like to handle stuff like that late at night. Okay, understandable. But another thing is that the call lasted a whopping 13 seconds. Long enough for a quick, it's done, or something like that, but not enough to ask about a rental property.
Yeah.
And why are you calling at midnight about a rental property? This to me was definitely a confirmation call. Like, the eagle has landed. Click. His tow records also put Stephen in the area where Crystal's car was found on the night of the 3rd at about 10:30. Now, Brooks's phone records show that he called Crystal's phone on the 4th many times, right? He wakes up, she's gone, he starts calling at 9:06 a.m., at 12:18 p.m., at 6:41 p.m. And the jury asked Jon Snow if he left any voicemails when he made these calls, because if you're calling somebody, be like, hey, it's me, I'm worried about you, call me back. And Jon Snow said they were unable to get that information, but based on the call lengths, like how short they were, there was likely he did not have time to even leave a message. So they don't believe that he did. His defense did show that he texted a cop friend of his, not his brother, a different person, at 9:02 a.m. on the 5th, asking her to try to get a hold of Crystal.
Huh.
Yeah.
So he wasn't even reporting her missing.
No. He was saying that he thought she was mad at him and not answering his calls.
Sure.
So he's like, hey, will you try to call her? So they also brought up a text exchange between Brooks and Crystal that they had about 6 weeks before her disappearance, where Crystal says she is sick of him putting her on the back burner. And he responded, please come back home. Leaving late at night with nowhere to go is not good. Running from your problems won't fix them. So the defense used this to show she had a history of leaving at night, right? She has a history of running. But the Commonwealth is like, no, this is showing that they have a history of problems, that they're arguing a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Now let's take a break right here to hear from today's sponsor before we get further into it. Do you or someone you know live in an apartment community? Are you balling on a budget? Make your money work for you.
Some apartments don't even offer a washer and dryer included in the lease. If you want that life, you need to contact My Laundry Solutions.
They service areas in Oklahoma, Missouri, and Texas. Their newest location is in Fort Worth, with more locations opening in Texas in 2025 and 2026. Check the website for locations near you. There's no credit check. Every contract includes free local service. They professionally install, and your account is available 24/7 online. Go to your leasing office, go to mylaundrysolutions.com, or call 800-535-4411.
Stop wasting your hard-earned money at the laundromat and give My Laundry Solutions a call today.
Call them.
Call them. Yeah, give them a shot.
So we were talking about how there's problems in Brooks and Crystal's relationship. They had a friend of theirs testify that they were out on the lake one day with him and Crystal had abused Brooks of cheating. He said that he knew Crystal was worried that Brooks was going to kick her out, so she was talking about making other arrangements. So now we're talking about we're breaking up, we're moving out. You know, she's making plans. The judge made the jury strike that, though, because that's hearsay. You can't say, oh, he was doing this, because you can't. If he's not going to testify, you can't say, oh, Crystal said this. Well, unless Crystal can say she said that, you can't do it. It was also brought up that Brooks had his windows tinted 2 days before Crystal disappeared to about 5%. The Commonwealth says that's so people couldn't see that Crystal wasn't actually with him that night when he was driving home. His defense presented medical records, though, showing that Eli was born with an underdeveloped optic nerve in one of his eyes, so he was sensitive to light. But 2 months later, Brooks went back to the tent place asking if it could be removed. That was quick.
Probably because it's illegal.
And that's what he said. Yeah. He said he got pulled over and was told that he couldn't have it that dark. Now, there's no record of him being pulled over, so you're just going to have to take his word for it. And we're going to get into some witness testimony now in a little bit. There were a lot of witnesses. There was Heather, who used to be married to Stephen Lawson. They were on again, off again, by the sounds of it, and they co-signed on a Chrysler 300 together. She took it when they split up and she was making the payments on it. But one day, it came up missing. So she figured that Stephen had taken it. On the 3rd of July, she happened to see it sitting outside of a bar. Now, since she still had a key fob, she took it back. She says the next day, her and her then husband cleaned out the car and found tourniquets, blankets, a bag of sour wet clothes, and a Louisville Slugger. She said in 2017, her and Stephen got back together and she overheard Stephen and Joey talking about moving a body with a skid steer at the Houck farm. As you hear about these witness statements, though, you have to keep in mind that the defense pushes really hard that these are mostly drug addicts from that time. And there's a big problem with a lot of these, which is police coercion. That was a big thing through the trial. For example, the police were telling Heather stuff like, we're going to take your little boy if we don't like how this ends. They were calling her a liar, and they were banging on the table during her over 4-hour interrogation.
Yeah, I hate when they do that shit too. They're just trying to fucking scare them.
Yeah, scare them into telling what they want them to say. She actually had a panic attack during the interview. And the defense points out that when Stephen's cell phone data put him at the Bluegrass Parkway that night, remember? It was about 10:30. The defense is like, no, they're wrong. The car and the Bluegrass Parkway were south of the cell phone tower. His phone was pinging to the north of the tower, which happens to be up by where Heather lived at the time. So they say he wasn't out there taking that car and leaving it on the side of the road. He was actually looking for his Chrysler 300. There was another witness that they coerced, so you can pick out what's right or wrong during his 10-hour interrogation. He testified at the grand jury that he wasn't promised anything in exchange for his testimony. But you can see throughout his interrogation, the state cops are telling him that they could help him. They wanted him on their team. Hell, they even brought in the prosecutor, the one who was even at trial, that same prosecutor, who told them that he didn't get out of bed for just anybody. He would say something trying to tell his story, and if they didn't accept that or it didn't fit their narrative, they would lead him in the direction they needed him to go, telling him, we've had another individual in custody. I won't say who. It's 2 people with a last name, Lawson. Wonder who that could be. And then bam, suddenly, this guy remembers that Stephen and Joey moved that car. See how that works? He also admitted at trial that he was on meth at the time of that interview and had been up for 5 days at that point. Lord. We also need to talk about the coon hunters.
Yeah, well, I mean, this case has a little bit of everything.
Yeah, lots of people. The coon hunters were in a competition that night. They were in a group of 3, and now 2 hunters on this team was behind the Houck farm that night with their dogs, and they say that they saw a white Buick just sitting in the road at about 10 or 10:30 p.m. The 3rd man on that team, who came through a little later because they had gotten separated, says he didn't see any car out there on the road. Now, I want you to remember that the Houck brothers' grandma, Anna Whiteside, had a white Buick that Nick helped her sell the day before a search warrant was executed for it. Police found it at the dealership, though, and they took it to an impound lot that had about 10 other cars in it. Then, while at the county fair, investigators came across Ranger. Ranger is a cadaver dog, and him and his human came out to the impound lot the next day with no knowledge of what car they were looking at or what they were looking for. The dog ended up hitting on the backside of that white Buick by the trunk. Now, this is a cadaver dog, which means he's looking for a deceased body.
Yeah.
The same trunk that they had got a hair from that was microscopically the same as hair taken from Crystal's hairbrush. Keep that. The defense pushed back on this because Ranger had only been certified the year prior to this, so he was fairly new, and his training records and certification had been lost when him and his handler moved. Plus, they got him from the county fair, so the jury was going to have to decide on his credibility. The vehicle is processed, and only Anna's and one other person's fingerprints were found in it. Now, these were not Brooks or Nick's. And none of Crystal's DNA tissue or anything was found in the car that they could prove. Another woman testified to say that she saw that maroon Chevy, which would be Crystal's car, on the Bluegrass Parkway, and behind it was an early 2000s or late 90s Chevy Silverado that was pulled all the way up to the bumper of the car. The truck had a hauling trailer attached to it, and the trailer had a flat tire, but no one knows if this was on the 4th of July or the 3rd of July. So do with that what you will.
So did I miss where you talked about Crystal's phone data?
You did not.
And also,
I haven't yet.
Yeah. And also, the credibility of a cadaver dog.
Right.
Here's the credibility. They pulled him from a fair.
Yes.
Took him to a impound lot.
Yes.
And they had no clue which car was what.
Right.
And the dog hit on the car.
The only
he's accredited.
Hit was on that car. He knows shit.
There's his credit.
There's his credit. Yes. He did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. And so let's talk about what Celebrite said about Crystal's phone data. They said that on the 3rd, between 7:39 and 9:23 p.m., she played a game called Cookie Jam. She got on her Facebook app and she played a game called Sugar Smash. The phone lost power at 9:23 p.m. So her battery died. At 11:37 p.m., the phone started to boot back up. The messaging app was used it was in use, and GPS coordinates started to boot in the Retail Me Not app. Now, they say that this doesn't necessarily mean that these apps were being used. It was just booting the app. So these are the processes they go through as it's coming to life. Within 30 seconds of the phone starting up, the phone was manually powered down again, and it wasn't used again until the cops turned it on. That means that she wasn't playing games at midnight or midnight 30 like Brooks said.
Yeah.
He told the police that what he meant to say was that she usually played games on her phone at night, not necessarily that she was that night. Okay, Brooks. Now, the 10-hour interrogation guy had also said that Joey was talking about Crystal, and he said he would take her hair and teeth and let the hogs do the rest. So the big question was, do they have hogs? Brooks's sister would say on the stand that they only had pet pigs, little baby pink pigs. But apparently the pictures they showed in court were of much bigger pigs than some little baby pink ones. And speaking of his sister, Rhonda, she was one of them that recorded her grand jury testimony. And she says that she did that so that she had proof of what she did or didn't say. So apparently no one in that family trusts the system. But the prosecutor had her read part of a transcript from one of those recordings. It was Brooks and her going back and forth. She was saying she didn't want to record. She didn't want to take the recorder into the grand jury for her testimony. And Brooks tells her, quote, "Nick wants to hear your testimony," end quote. Okay, so now everybody's like, oh, we just don't trust the cops. But now we know that they're just listening to each other's testimonies, probably trying to keep their story straight.
Yep.
The prosecutor asked, "You don't remember that?" And she said she must have a different interpretation of that. No, you don't, sis. It is what it is.
I mean, yeah, they're just trying to keep their story straight.
Trying to keep it straight. But it didn't work. The other witness to mention was another ex-wife of Stevens, who said that Joey had a baby with her daughter, so his stepsister. But they were adults. Stepmom heard a conversation between Joey and stepsister where Joey said he was paid $50,000 to move a car. She also said that Joey liked to say things to make himself look big, though. So she didn't think too much about anything that came out of his mouth. She talked about a fight that Joey and Steven got into once where they rode down 30 concrete steps, screaming, cussing, and hitting each other. Joey threatened to tell about the car and just how involved Steven was. And I will mention here that none of Joey's fingerprints were in that car, and it didn't appear to have been wiped clean because they found other fingerprints in the car. There was also hair in the car, but it was too long to belong to any of the men that were involved, so they did not test it. Because apparently in Kentucky, you can only process so many pieces of evidence. So like they could only do 10 fingerprint cards or things like that. And I think it's an effort to keep turnaround time short or some shit, but I really don't think it helps them catch killers unless you have a pretty good idea of who did it and you're right.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but to each their own, I guess. Now, how do Nick and Rosemary come into play, I bet you're wondering? Besides my personal belief that Crystal went to the farm under the impression that Rosemary was their babysitter for Eli that night, and I think she likely did watch him while Brooks took care of Crystal. Anyways, a man named Danny testified that Rosemary asked him if he knew anyone who could get rid of Crystal. He told her that enough money in this town, you could probably get anything done. And that was the end of that. But 2 weeks later, Crystal disappeared. Danny also is someone who lied to the grand jury and lied to the cops about his whereabouts on the 3rd. He would end up being charged with some serious counts of perjury and was looking at about 20 years in prison. But magically, when he said that Rosemary asked him about a hitman, his sentence turned into 90 days in jail. Funny how that works.
Yep.
He said that also Crystal had been fighting with her brother, and her brother said, quote, "Someone should take her into the woods and blow her damn brains out," end quote. I was like, dang, that's a brother. A neighbor at the rental house that Crystal was staying in said that they never saw Nick or Rosemary there until from the 4th of July on that year, when Nick was seen taking 2 white bags with handles out of the house and putting them in Rosemary's car. And suddenly, Nick and Rosemary are there quite a bit, almost every day. And it also just so happens that Nick had turned his phone off from the 2nd to the 4th. The defense points out that it was off for some time before the 2nd, so it's not like the Commonwealth was trying to make it look like he only turned it off for those days. And his ex-girlfriend, Amber, says that he was making them move into a house that was unfinished and she absolutely hated it. And he told her that they had to move that weekend and be out on the 6th. So the whole weekend of 4th of July, they needed to move starting on the 3rd. On the 3rd, all of a sudden that morning, Nick said he needed to go help Brooks and he left. She called him about 15 times throughout the day, but remember, his phone was shut off that day. He strolled back in around mid-morning on the 4th of July. So that was really suspicious, and needless to say, they ended up breaking up shortly after that. But I think they're just trying to get some actual evidence on Rosemary and Nick before they can proceed with charges for Crystal.
Yeah. I mean, you know, they've done some shady shit.
Yeah, they don't look right, but they need some proof. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for this trial, though, closing arguments were on July 7th, and this was the first time that Rosemary actually came to court. It was a shock for everyone that she rolled in, and most people didn't even notice that she was there until they're like, oh, shoot, is that Rosemary? The jury started their deliberations on Tuesday the 8th. It took them under 4 hours, and that includes their lunchtime, to find both Brooks Houck and Joey Lawson guilty across the board. Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Found them guilty what?
Across the board. Guilty of everything.
Oh.
Joey and Brooks.
Nice.
Then it took the jury a whole 20 minutes to decide on sentencing. Brooks got life in prison for murder with a consecutive 5 years for tampering with evidence. Joey got 20 years for conspiracy with a same thing, consecutive 5 years for tampering with evidence. So Brooks will likely be eligible for parole in about 20 years. And Joey got more time than his dad probably is going to get because the jury in Stephen's case recommended he get 17 years. He hasn't been sentenced yet, though. And the only surprise for me here was that it took them 4 hours to decide that Brooks was guilty. I think they were just like making 100% sure.
Yeah.
Now, finally, after all these years, we have a verdict. The family has a verdict.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Crystal's dad is not here to see it. If you're curious about what happened to him, it's in part 1. So go back and listen. And then you tell me why Nick's Houck hasn't been arrested yet once you hear about Tommy Ballard. But I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when they read this verdict because Brooks seems so arrogant that this would have knocked him down a peg. And I think he would have been like, you got it wrong. Like attitude. So how about you? Do you think they got it right?
Oh, yeah.
We already know.
Yeah, I think they should have got it right a long time ago.
A long time, 10 years.
Yeah. It's ridiculous on how, you know, the court system can push so quick to have somebody with like a drug case or, or, you know, vandalism or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just something like that. But a murder case, they push that shit as far as they can. And most of it's just a money game and everything, because the more they put it in court, the more money racks up on that person. And
you would like to say that, they take so long because they want to make sure they get it right. But, because I mean, it's murder. This is life. Well, life is 20 years in this case.
Yeah.
Probably. But people with like drug crimes and stuff like that, they're getting 50, 60 years.
Yeah.
So this is the part that I don't understand.
And the whole thing was they in jail during this whole time?
Brooks has been in jail for some time. Yeah, and Joey has too. But they didn't get arrested till way later. So they were out for a long time.
So that's what I'm saying. So how much of this time is already time served?
Not a lot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where you got to look at it too, is like, you know, yeah, they might have only gotten 20
mm-hmm.
or they're up for parole in 20, but how much time have they already served? So, yeah. I mean.
Plus being up for parole doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Yeah.
They can
deny it. But on
it.
paper, you know, it might sound like it's great and everything, but if they've been in jail for 5-10 years or whatever, you know, waiting on this trial to be done, then that's time, you know, that's already time served, knocked off. So that means they only got 5 or 10 more years. You know what I mean? It's just, it's ridiculous. Whenever they should have pushed it, you know, it should have only took maybe a year or 2.
Well, we covered this case about a year ago, I think.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but I mean,
and had most of this information already.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. And it took them this long to get a guilty.
Yeah.
It's a little ridiculous.
I don't think it would have taken this long to get a guilty if they had actually put them through the system 5 years ago, 7 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, I think they would have got their guilty then too.
I'm just saying, you know, other cases and everything else, something that's not as you know, I don't want to say it's not as serious, but
Murder's pretty damn serious.
Murder's serious. No, I mean, I'm saying not as serious as murder.
I know.
You know, so like I said, you know, like the possession charges or burglary or anything like that, you know, stuff that's like, you know, just a little bit less.
Right.
I mean, murder's like top of the food chain.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. It's up there.
And everything. That right there should be like priority.
Mm-hmm.
And then these other ones they'd be like boom, boom, boom. But now they're like, oh, let's get these smaller cases done. Let's get them knocked out real quick.
And give them three times the sentence.
Them 3 times the sentencing and everything.
Yeah.
And then, oh, here's a murder. Oh, yeah, let's give him 20.
And we're not saying
he killed somebody.
We're not saying drug dealers or traffickers or anything are great people.
No.
But
what's wrong is wrong is wrong.
There's levels, though.
There's levels of it. You know?
Everything.
I mean, if a dude's peddling marijuana or whatever, shit's legal in most places now.
Yeah. But people in other states, it's not legal and are still getting hella sentences for that.
Yeah.
It's things like that.
But, yeah, I mean, but anyway, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I mean, sorry.
No, don't apologize. Your opinion is valid.
There.
But that's all we have for this one. So should they indict Nick and Rosemary, we'll be back to update that. But for now, this is done. So if you like our content, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever a new episode drops.
Yep. And when is this one hitting?
This one is hitting on Tuesday.
Is it going to be Tuesday or Wednesday since we're doing one a week?
Oh, we haven't decided what day.
So let's do it. We're going to hit them on Wednesdays.
Okay.
And so if you guys hear this on this coming Wednesday, we're going to be at the Porter Peach Festival with our food truck, Country Boy Smoke Q. So if you see a black trailer with a cow, pig, and chicken on the side, you have found the right spot.
You are home.
Yep. So come down and see us. You guys can meet the people, me and her of Murder with the Missus, and get some good food while you're at it. So until next time.
Delicious peaches.
So until next time, we'll see you.
Bye.